Hi, class. So this is our lecture for chapter 13 on the extinguishment of sale. So like any other contract, a contract of sale may be extinguished in accordance with the modes of extinguishment provided by the Civil Code. So Article 1231 applies equally to contracts of sale, such as when a contract is extinguished due to payment or performance, when the subject matter of the contract is lost, when there is condonation or remission, confusion or merger of the rights of the creditor and the debtor, when there is compensation, novation, annulment, rescission, the fulfillment of a resolutory condition, and prescription. But take note that performance of the obligations or payment will not terminate the contract of sale because the warranties of the seller typically subsist even after performance of the obligations under the contract, such as full payment of the purchase price. So, what is extinguished by payment is the performance of the obligation since it's already done. But the contract of sale itself, okay, it continues to exist. But what is unique in the law on sales is that there is another ground to extinguish a contract of sale, and that is what we call redemption. So there is the conventional and the legal redemption. So this is a mode of extinguishment unique to the contract of sale. So what is conventional redemption? This is also known as the exercise of the right to repurchase, wherein the seller is granted this opportunity to purchase back or buy back the property from the buyer. So this happens when there is a reservation by the seller of the right to repurchase the thing sold, coupled with the obligation that the seller will reimburse the buyer the price of the sale, as well as other ancillary expenses incurred by the buyer. So this even includes reimbursement for any necessary expense incurred by the buyer when the buyer was still in possession of the property. So this also includes useful expenses. So this is pursuant to Article 1601 and 1616 of the Civil Code. So when there is redemption, conventional redemption, or when the right to repurchase is granted to the seller, this will not prevent the consummation of the contract. So the buyer, okay, will still acquire ownership over the thing and is still subrogated to the seller's rights and any action that accrues to the seller, even during the period, okay, when the right to redemption still subsists. So there is transfer of ownership despite the grant of the right of redemption. So ownership and title will still vest to the buyer, subject to the happening of a resolutory condition, which is the repurchase made by the seller. So in the case of David versus David, we will be studying how the right to repurchase is considered to be validly exercised by the seller. So in this case, there are two brothers, Eduardo and Edwin, who sold their properties, a parcel of land, a tractor, and a trailer to their cousin Roberto. So that's why parehag surnames ang plaintiff and defendant in this case. They are relatives. So the parties here entered into a deed with assumption of mortgage, and their agreement was that the consideration for the sale was 6 million, and 2 million of that amount will be paid to Eduardo and Edwin, the sellers. and the remaining 4 million will be paid to the Development Bank of the Philippines, the mortgagee. The parties further agreed that the brothers Eduardo and Edwin will have the right to repurchase the property within a period of 3 years from execution of the contract, with the redemption price fixed at 2 million, okay, plus interest per plus the 12% interest per annum. So meantime, the cousins Roberto and Edwin. Roberto here is the buyer in that first transaction. They entered into another agreement pertaining to the same property, the same parcel of land with the spouses Marquez and spouses Go. So they agreed to sell the lot for 10 million pesos. So one of the stipulations in the agreement with the spouses was that Edwin will execute the necessary deed of absolute sale in favor of the spouses. So at this point in time, guys, Edwin had already sold the property to Roberto, but the second sale happened while the right of redemption still subsisted. So 3 years man from execution of the sale. So in order to perform the obligations in the second transaction. Okay. What happened was that Roberto gave Eduardo 2.8 million and also returned the truck tractors and the trailers which were part of the first agreement, the deed of sale between the brothers and the cousin. Later, Eduardo, okay, demanded the return of the remaining properties, another tractor and trailer. But Roberto here, he already refused to heed the demand to return the remaining properties. So Eduardo initiated a replevin suit against his cousin Roberto, alleging that he was exercising the right to repurchase under the deed of sale, and that Eduardo was entitled to possession of the other motor vehicle and the trailer. So in Roberto's defense, he argued that Eduardo could not anymore repurchase the properties in question because the effect of executing the second agreement, the memorandum of agreement, was that the deed of sale with assumption of mortgage was already extinguished by novation. So one of the issues that had to be resolved by the Supreme Court in this case is whether or not there was a valid right to repurchase, and if that repurchase was validly exercised by Eduardo. So the court here ruled that yes, there was an existing right to repurchase and it was validly exercised. So the court here described the requirements in order to effect conventional redemption. So conventional redemption shall take place when the vendor reserves the right to repurchase the thing sold with the obligation to comply with the provisions of Article 1616 and other stipulations which may have been agreed upon. So in accordance with Article 1616, the seller, given the right to repurchase, can exercise the right of redemption by paying the buyer first the price of the sale, second, the expenses of the contract, third, legitimate payments made by the buyer due to the sale, and fourth, the necessary and useful expenses made on the thing sold. So, based from the trial in this case, the defendant, uh, Roberto David, himself testified that the preconditions for the exercise of the right to repurchase were satisfied by the seller, by Eduardo and Edwin. So, as stated, the 10 million purchase price was directly paid to Roberto, and Roberto only deducted his expenses, plus the interest and the loan amount, and whatever remained, he in fact turned over or returned to the sellers ni Eduardo and Edwin. So, if you recall from the facts, he returned 2.8 million. So, the testimony of the defendant Roberto is an unequivocal acknowledgement, okay, that the sellers exercise the right to repurchase the property within the agreed upon period, okay, in accordance with the conditions that they stipulated in the deed of sale with assumption of mortgage. So, how do you properly reserve the right to repurchase? So, it should be by contractual stipulation. There must be an express statement or provision in the deed or contract of sale. And that right to repurchase must be embodied in just one instrument. So, in the very same deed of sale, which disposes or alienates the property, there should be a stipulation pertaining to the right to repurchase. And the right to repurchase cannot be in a separate instrument because once an instrument of absolute sale is executed, okay, the rule is that the vendor can no longer reserve the right to repurchase. And if there is any right subsequently granted by the vendor to the vendee in a separate instrument, that cannot be interpreted as a right to repurchase, but it could be the grant instead of an option to buy. So, di na siya right to repurchase, but merely option to buy. That's in accordance with the case of Villarica versus Court of Appeals. So if the right to repurchase is granted in a separate instrument, the underlying contract of sale must be valid and there has been delivery already of the subject matter upon which the right of repurchase may be later on exercised. So if the parties really intend to grant the right of repurchase, but they are going to reduce it into another instrument separate from the deed of sale, then there must be a valid contract of sale in the first place. So the right to repurchase can be proved by parole evidence, when provided that the contract of sale has already been reduced into writing. This is pursuant to the ruling in Mactan Cebu International Airport Authority versus Court of Appeals. So if you analyze the decided cases, guys, it appears that the right to repurchase, ideally, it should be in writing. But as long as you can prove the existence of the contract of sale, which must be valid, then you can prove by parole evidence the existence of the right to repurchase. Okay, so what are the distinctions between a right to redeem and an option to purchase or option to buy? So ideally, the right to redeem or repurchase must not be in a separate contract. It should be integrated in the contract of sale. An option to purchase, on the other hand, generally it can be a principal contract because it is just preparatory to a contract of sale and it can be created independently of another contract. But also, you can find instances when the deed of sale incorporates an option to buy. Typically, you can find this in contract of leases. So the right to redeem must be reserved at the very moment of perfection. While an option to purchase, it could exist prior to or after the perfection of the contract of sale. It can also be embedded in another contract like a lease, and that will be put in the contract of lease at the time of perfection of that contract. A right to redeem will not need a separate consideration. in order to be valid and effective. But an option to buy, it needs a separate consideration distinct from the purchase price in order to make that option contract valid. So there's a restriction as well on the duration of the right to redeem. It should be for a redemption period that cannot exceed 10 years. But an option to buy can exceed 10 years. With respect to the exercise of the right to redemption, it requires notice accompanied by a tender of payment, including consignment of the payment when tender of payment has already been refused. But in an option to purchase, the exercise of the option typically requires only a notice that the exercise is being uh, given, that the option is being exercised. A right to redeem extinguishes a contract of sale, but on the other hand, an option to purchase results in the perfection of a contract of sale. So preparatory man siya to a contract of sale. So the Civil Code prescribes the period of validity for redemption. So in the absence of any express agreement, the period of redemption shall be 4 years from the date of the contract. But if there is an agreement, then the period cannot exceed 10 years. If it exceeds 10 years, then the agreement is valid only up to the first 10 years. But there are cases when even beyond the period of redemption, the grantee of that period is given 30 days from the time that final judgment has been made by the court in a civil action recognizing the right of redemption within which to exercise the right to repurchase. So this happens when the court will decree that a contract is not one of sale but of equitable mortgage, and on grounds of equity the owner of the thing is given this 30-day period to cause the redemption of the property that was mortgaged. So let's take a look at the case of Tayao versus Dulay to illustrate to us the rules on period of redemption. So Apolonio Tayao entered into a deed of sale with option to repurchase with Pascuala Dulay. So seeking to recover the parcel of land that was sold, Tayao filed a complaint against Dulay and contended that he only executed the deed to evidence an indebtedness, but it was only a mortgage. So he only put up the property as security for his loan. He did not intend to sell it. So Tayao argues that the deed is void because it provides that the land cannot be repurchased during the first 10 years following the execution of the sale. But there is no stipulation on the limit when the repurchase may be made, which is contrary to the provisions of the Civil Code pertaining to the mandatory periods within which to redeem a property. So Dulay counters, however, that the stipulation does not convert the contract into a mortgage, and the period to repurchase still has to be made in accordance with Article 1508, which provides that should there be an agreement, the period should not exceed 10 years, and that the period to redeem in any case had already expired. So the issue to be resolved by the Supreme Court was whether or not Article 1508 is applicable, considering that in the deed with option to repurchase, there is a stipulation on the right to repurchase, which cannot be exercised within the first 10 years following the execution of the deed. So what rule do you apply? Katong in the absence of an agreement, it should be 4 years. Or if there is an agreement, it should not exceed 10 years. Or is the phrasing the words used by the deed to grant the period of redemption invalid, and therefore it nullifies the contract. So the court here ruled that yes, Article 1508 is applicable to resolve the controversy. So upon examination of the questioned stipulation in the deed of sale, it can be discerned that the intent of the parties was to suppress the exercise of the right to repurchase for the full period of 10 years from the date of the contract. But still, it allows the exercise of the right after expiration of the 10 years. So, applying the second paragraph of Article 1508 of the Civil Code, it is in effect providing that if there is an agreement with respect to the time of the purchase, the period shall not exceed 10 years. So, therefore, the stipulation in the deed of sale with option to repurchase is contrary to the provisions of Article 1508 because since the right to repurchase cannot be exercised within 10 years, then it can only be redeemed after 10 years. That goes against Article 1508. And the prohibition to exercise within the allowable period, okay, will actually violate the civil code. It violates the law. So therefore, the stipulation is illegal. It is illicit. And the result is that the right of repurchase could, in fact, under the second paragraph of Article 1508, exercised in this case at any time after the making of the contract and prior to the expiration of 10 years. So the law here is controlling. Okay? It controls, it prevails over the contract of the parties. So considering that more than 10 years has already lapsed, then the right to repurchase has already expired. Therefore, the property has already been consolidated to the purchaser. So tough love, guys. In another case, in Cebu State College of Science and Technology versus Misterio, okay, there is a deed of sale covering a parcel of land executed by Asuncion Sadaya Misterio, a seller, in favor of Sudlon Agricultural High School. So this sale was subject to the right of the vendor to repurchase the property when the high school will cease to exist or when the site of the high school is transferred to another location. So there is no specific period, but the right to repurchase is clearly stipulated in the deed of sale. So on June 10, 1983, the site of the high school was converted into the Cebu State College of Science and Technology. And due to the conversion of the school to a college, the heirs of Misterio wanted to exercise by then the right to repurchase. But the college refused anymore to grant them this right. So the heirs of Misterio filed a complaint to nullify the deed of sale, which was granted by the trial court because, according to them, by the terms of the deed of sale, the high school, which was the buyer, had already ceased to have legal personality or legal existence. On appeal, the Court of Appeals reversed the trial court and ruled that since there was no agreement on the period to repurchase already expired on June 1987, or 4 years after the enactment of BP Batas Pambansa bilang 412 in accordance with Article 1606 of the Civil Code. So Misterio counters that the period to redeem had not yet commenced to run at all because there was still no final judgment on whether or not the high school already ceased to exist. So the issue to be resolved by the court here was whether or not the expiration of the period of redemption should be reckoned from either the happening of the condition or should it be from the final judgment on the court which resolved the issue on whether the high school had already ceased to exist. Di bugsad siya guys, no? So the ruling of the Supreme Court is that the period of redemption commenced upon the happening of the condition. So what condition was that? So in this case, the vendor and the vendee, although they did not agree on any period for the exercise of the right to repurchase, the vendor can extend the right within 4 days within 4 years from the happening of the agreed upon condition contained in the deed, which is either the cessation of existence of the high school or the transfer of the school to another site. So, based from the complaint filed by the Ears of Misterio, they allege that the high school ceased to exist on June 10, 1983, okay, when the Batas Pambansa took effect. So this Batas Pambansa, remember, it abolished the high school and converted it into the Cebu State College. So the CA agreed with the position of the Ears of Misterio and declared that conformably in accordance with the condition in the deed of sale and under Article 1606 of the Civil Code, the right of the petitioners as successors in interest of the of the Vendi of the Vendia Retro commenced to run on June 10, 1983. Hence, they had 4 years from that time within which to repurchase the property. However, they failed to do it. So the 4-year period for the petitioners to repurchase the property was not suspended just because of the divergence of opinion between the ears and the school. So the deed of sale clearly stipulated, and the meaning of the phrase after the high school SAHS shall cease to exist means exactly what it says. So the existence of petitioners' right to repurchase the property was not dependent at all on the final judgment in the case. So, kung ang agreement, guys, is merely to grant the right to repurchase, but there is no specific period in terms of number of years, then we consider that as a non-agreement and we apply the first clause of Article 1508. So, does the pendency of a civil action stall or interrupt the running of the redemption period? So, as long as the civil case, okay, is brought in good faith and it relates to the validity of the sale a retro, of the sale with a right to repurchase, then it can interrupt the running of the redemption period. So the completion of the redemption process is stalled by the filing of a civil action relating to the issue of such redemption. So as long as you brought the action within the period that the right of redemption still exists, then yes, that can interrupt the prescriptive period. Okay, so take note that the non-payment of the purchase price by the buyer, okay, will not suspend the running of the period of redemption. Because ang period of redemption, typically, it is reckoned from the date of execution of the contract. So, maski wa kabayad si buyer, nagdagan na ang redemption period. So question, okay, A sold a parcel of land to B for 5,000 pesos with right to repurchase. It was expressly stipulated in the contract that A shall have the right to redeem the property at any time when he has money. So what is the period of redemption? 4 years? So the phrase at any time found in the deed of sale, although indefinite, it still expresses an agreement as to the period within which the right of redemption was reserved by the vendor to himself. So this kind of agreement is governed by the second paragraph of Article 1606, not by the first paragraph. So therefore, the redemption is 10 years, counted from the date of execution of the contract. Follow-up question. Suppose that in the same problem, it was expressly stipulated that the right of repurchase could not be exercised within 3 years from the date of sale. What would be the period of redemption? 4 years? So, in a decided case, Reyes versus Rosales, the Supreme Court held that in such case, the vendor is allowed 4 years from the expiration of the time within which the right to redeem could not be exercised. So, in the event na the 4 year period would extend the life of the contract beyond 10 years, such as when the agreed upon right of repurchase could not be exercised within 7 or 8 or 9 years from the date of sale, the vendor can still be allowed to redeem the property during the balance of the 10-year period. So in no instance nga mulapas jud siya og 10-year guys. So you consider the remaining years left within that specific 10 years from the date of execution. So same problem, same facts. Suppose that it was expressly stipulated that the vendor, a retro, can redeem the property as soon as he has established a certain business. What would you consider as the period of redemption? 4 years? So when that is the stipulation, it is considered actually as a non-agreement. So wa sila agreement on the period. Consequently, it will be governed by the first paragraph of Article 1606, not by the second paragraph. So the vendor or retro here will be allowed 4 years within which to redeem the property. So this is in accordance with the ruling in Medel versus Francisco. So there is another period extended to the vendor or retro to redeem the property sold. And this is in cases of litigation wherein the court will grant this 30-day period. So this is under Article 1606, wherein the vendor or retro, okay, is given the 30-day period to redeem the property sold a retro when there is a controversy regarding the true nature of the contract, and the court is called upon to decide whether it is a sale with pacto de retro or an equitable mortgage. But if there is no controversy, meaning no case was filed questioning the nature of the contract, then the contract will be considered as an absolute sale and there would be no grant of the 30-day period to redeem under Article 1606. So how is redemption made by the vendor? So the obligations of the vendor are retro is first to return the vendee the price of the sale, to pay the expenses of the contract and other legitimate payments made by the buyer due to the sale, and to pay for all necessary and useful expenses made on the thing sold. So the exercise of redemption, guys, it's not limited only to the total redemption price as enumerated in Article 1616, since this provision is not exclusive, okay, and it also is not restrictive. So if you can prove other cost related to the acquisition of the property that was incurred by the buyer, legitimately incurred by the buyer, then pwede na siya ipabayad sa vendor a retro. So when you are redeeming the property, it must always be coupled with a bona fide tender of payment. So walk the talk jud ka. Mo redeem gay ka, dapat put up na dayon ka sa redemption price. So what happens if there is failure to redeem the property within the redemption period? Then there is consolidation of title, okay, in the buyer. So if the redemption period has already elapsed without any valid redemption by the vendor, then the buyer here, the buyer a retro, is entitled already to register, to record in the registry of deeds the consolidation of ownership. So by recording in the registry of deeds the consolidation of ownership, then there is already a transfer of ownership. Okay, but is recording uh mandatory for there to be a transfer of ownership? So no. Kung for example, maglangay-langay si buyer o record sa consolidation sa title with the registry of deeds, that will still not prevent the legal transfer of ownership because the buyer would still be considered as the owner of the property since the seller failed to redeem the thing. So there is already title vested in the buyer a retro, and his failure to consolidate his title under Article 1607 will not impair it. So Article 1607 therefore just lays down the procedure to register the consolidated title. It does not make registration or recording with the registry of deeds a condition sine qua non for consolidation of ownership or for the transfer of ownership to the buyer a retro. So remember Article 1602? We already studied this way back sa katong chapter 1, Introduction to the Contract of Sale. So Article 1602 lays down the circumstances or the badges that indicates the existence of an equitable mortgage. Because remember that sale with right to repurchase, it can often be a disguise for the true agreement of the parties. Nga pwede lang ang ilahang agreement is just to secure an indebtedness. So gihatag ang property in order to serve as security for money loan, a cash loan. But the borrower, the debtor, really had no intent to sell the property. So since we are trying to discern the intent of the parties, Article 1602 helps us, okay, to helps us decide okay, or discern what the intention of the parties are. So, muna siya ang badges of equitable mortgage. So, I hope you get familiar with this. But the concept here is that these badges show that despite the supposed sale of the property, okay, the seller still remained in possession and in fact controls the property, cares for the property, is in possession of the property, siya ay nagbayad sa taxes sa property. And despite the supposed deed of sale with right to repurchase, maski nilapse na ang period to repurchase, sige extend ang parties sa period. Hatagan og another period si seller to repurchase the property. So that indicates na naapagyoy underlying agreement, which will be the true agreement of the parties. So when you are able to prove the existence of the badges of equitable mortgage, the court will rule that the deed of sale is not the true agreement of the parties. Instead, they only entered into an equitable mortgage. And since mortgage raman, the owner of the thing, the debtor, okay, the mortgagor, will be given that 30-day period, last ditch opportunity to redeem the property. That's granted by the court. So the rationale why we have Article 1602 to 1604 is to prevent circumvention of the laws on usury and the prohibition against the creditor automatically appropriating the mortgage property. Sige, tawag na to ani guys. Mundong pa mo ani. Sa chapter 1 na to nga study. Okay, to circumvent the prohibition against pactum commissorium. So, kaning mga sale are retro, sale with right to repurchase, it's frequently used to conceal the true nature of a contract, which is a loan secured by mortgage. So, in Matanggihan versus Court of Appeals, okay, the Supreme Court said that it is a fact that in time of grave financial distress, which render persons hard pressed to meet even their basic needs or answer an emergency, such persons, okay, would have no choice but to sign a deed of absolute sale of property, okay, or a sale with pacto de retro in order to obtain much needed loan from unscrupulous lenders. So the law here favors the least transmission of rights and interest over a property that is in controversy. So the purpose of the law is to prevent circumvention of the prohibition against usury and pactum commissorium. So it seeks to address unjust or oppressive transactions. So tagaan og aid ang kaning mga desperate debtors so that they will not lose their property. What happens if you file a civil action in court arguing that you did not sell your property, but instead the contract is just an equitable mortgage, but in truth, you are just feigning. So you are fabricating the claim that you only entered into an equitable mortgage. So in Abilia versus Gobonseng. So the court here said that the applicability of Article 1606 rests on a bona fide intent of the seller a retro. So if the seller honestly believed that the transaction was an equitable mortgage, the article can apply and there can still be repurchase within 30 days from finality of the judgment. So mas mo favor sa interpretation, mas mo favor sa seller over the claim of the buyer that there was a sale. So just read this case of Abilia versus Gobonseng. So now we discuss, okay, the second kind of redemption, which is the legal redemption. So unsa day difference sa conventional o sa legal redemption? So conventional redemption, it exists because of agreement of the parties. But legal redemption, the right to redeem here is granted by express provision of the law. So what are these instances when there is legal redemption? But before we head to that, let's distinguish first between conventional and legal redemption. So as I've already said, legal redemption, it's a right granted by law and covers sales and other onerous transfers of title. Conventional redemption is by convention or contract or by agreement of the parties. So in conventional redemption, it is given in favor of the seller. In legal redemption, it is typically given to a third party or someone who is a stranger to the contract of sale. In conventional redemption, the exercise of the right a retro will extinguish the underlying contract of sale as if there was no sale at all. But in legal redemption, if you exercise this, although it will extinguish the original sale, it actually constitutes a new sale in substitution of the original sale. So why is it described like that? Because here are the instances when there is legal redemption. So there is legal redemption among co-heirs, legal redemption among co-owners, legal redemption among owners of rural lands, legal redemption among adjoining owners of urban land, and legal redemption in sale of credit in or under litigation. So you notice here guys na the subject matter or the thing here is co-owned na ay several owners to a singular subject matter. So if any one of the co-owners, co-heirs will sell their share or a portion of the co-owned property, then the other co-owners, in order to prevent a stranger from um, becoming a co-owner, kay ma-interrupt ang ilahang legal relations, then the co-heirs, co-owners are given the right to redeem. For adjoining owners of rural and urban land, in order to prevent the division of or partition of property that will not serve public purpose of developing the land. Okay. Adjoining property, it's too small to be put to any use. Then tagaan og legal right to redeem. So here are the pertinent articles of the Civil Code. So between co-owners, there exists a right to redemption. So the extent that could be redeemed is the whatever is in proportion to the share that was sold. So if two or more co-owners desire to exercise the right to redeem, they can only do so in proportion to the share they may respectively have in the thing owned in common. So this sad pwede nga just one co-owner will redeem the share that was sold. So he can only acquire to the extent nga entitled siya sa iyahang portion. So di niya pwede labuan or padak-an ng iyang share that will prejudice the other co-owners. In redemption by co-heirs, it can be done by any or some of them. If the co-heir, if one of the heirs will share his or her hereditary right to a stranger. In redemption by an adjoining owner of a land, of a rural land, provided that the area does not exceed 1 hectare. If there is a sale of this kind of property to a third person, then the adjoining owners, okay, can uh, acquire that adjoining land. If two or more adjoining owners desire to exercise the right at the same time, the one with the smaller area shall be preferred. And should both lands have the same area, the one who first requested the redemption shall be preferred. So here, the policy of the law is to promote the ownership of the lot in just one person para di buak-buakon ang yuta. In the case of the legal right of redemption for adjoining owners in urban land, and the lot to be sold is so small and so situated that a major portion thereof cannot be used for any practical purpose within a reasonable time, then katong adjoining owner can redeem the property when it is sold to a third person. So if not yet sold to a third person, then this same article grants the right of preemption. So you can preempt the sale, okay, by purchasing it from the adjoining owner. So who will be preferred if two or more adjoining owners want to exercise the right of preemption or redemption? So it will be the owner of the land that appears best justified. So this will be a matter that will be decided by the courts. Because so may meaning anang appears best justified be. Panindotay sila og development plan. So si court ang maghusay ana. Then there's redemption by a debtor should the credit or other incorporeal right in litigation be sold by the creditor to a third person. So the debtor here can purchase the credit if it has been alienated by his creditor and the matter is still under litigation. So there are other instances of legal redemption provided in other laws. So redemption of homesteads. So in CA 141, there can be redemption by the applicant, his widow, and legal heirs within 5 years from the time that the homestead patent or free patent is alienated to a third person. There is also redemption by a judgment debtor within 1 year if a property belonging to him has been foreclosed and executed and sold in a public auction. This is in accordance with the new with the rules of court. There is also redemption in tax sales kung gi-foreclose ang imuhang property sa government for failure to pay the real property taxes. The property owner can redeem it by paying for the delinquency taxes and other costs. There is also redemption in extrajudicial foreclosure. So 1 year. If you mortgage your property, you are given 1 year from the date of the sale within which to redeem. Also found in the rules of court. So there is also redemption in judicial foreclosure when the mortgagee is a banking institution. So kung ang mortgagee guys kay usa ka bangko, the rule is that there is no right to redeem on the part of the debtor mortgagor when the foreclosure is through judicial means. Nag-judicial foreclosure ang bank. Okay, the only exception to this is when the mortgagee is actually a bank or banking institution. So hatagan ang bank therefore og period to redeem. Then there is equity of redemption. So this is a right of the defendant mortgagor to extinguish the mortgage and retain ownership by paying the debt within the 90-day period after the judgment becomes final. So this is pursuant to the rules of court. And in fact, even beyond the 90 days, kung makasettle ka sa redemption price prior to the confirmation of the confirmation of the sale in the public auction. So there is also a right of redemption, legal redemption, pursuant to the general banking law, wherein if a banking institution will foreclose on a real estate mortgage, the mortgagor is given 1 year to redeem. So let's take a look at this case of Viuda de Ape versus Court of Appeals. This illustrates to us when the period of legal redemption commences. Kanus aman siya magsugod og run. So Cleopas Ape is the registered owner of a parcel of land, and when he died, his property passed to his wife and his 11 children, including this Fortunato de Ape. So, a certain Generosa Kawit de Lomaino filed a case for specific performance against Fortunato, claiming that Fortunato had sold the land to her and she presented a receipt of their agreement. So Fortunato denied selling his share to Lomaino, and he admitted, however, that Lomaino is his lessee. But he argued that in the event nga iya jung gibaligya ang iyahang property, he is a co-owner of that property and he was invoking his right to redeem as a co-owner. Lomaino countered that uh, actually Lomaino had already purchased the share of the other co-owners. So that makes Fortunato's argument that he can redeem as a co-owner not applicable anymore. It's not available anymore because wa na siya laing ka co-owner because napalit na ni Lomaino. Lomaino also argued that the right of redemption already lapsed because prior to the filing of the suit, Fortunato already received a copy of the title in the name of Lomaino, where the title of the properties which had the annotation of adverse claim. So nagpa-adverse claim si Lomaino sa mga other titles. So the issue that had to be resolved by the court was whether or not uh, Fortunato was given notice of the sale of the share of the other co-owners through furnishing him a copy of a title with the adverse claim of Lomaino. So will that be substantial compliance with Article 1623 of the Civil Code para mo run na ang period to redeem? So the court discussed that in considering whether or not the offer to redeem was timely, okay, the notice must in fact be given by the seller. So, ang co-owner gyud dapat ang mohatag sa notice, not the buyer. So, this is pursuant to the text of Article 1623. So, the period to redeem only runs. It is counted from the time that notice in writing is given by the vendor to the other co-owners. So, why should the notice be furnished by the seller, not the buyer? Because the rationale for that is the seller of an undivided interest is in the best position to know who are the other co-owners who must be notified of the sale. So, the notice given by the seller also removes all doubts as to the fact of the sale and its perfection and its validity. So this notice serves as a reaffirmation that the party notified, okay, need not doubt that the seller will still contest the alienation. So kung di ni siya ihatag nga notice by the seller himself, then the running of the period to redeem will not even commence at all. So this was the first interpretation of the Supreme Court of Article 1623 on the matter of notice. But in other cases, however, there was an interpretation that Article 1623 does not prescribe a particular form of notice, nor any distinctive method for notifying the redemptioner. So as long as na-acknowledge knowledge si redemptioner, the other co-owners of the sale, and that is in writing, then the redemption period already starts to run. So considering anay duha ka interpretation si Supreme Court, guys, what do you think they applied in the case of Viuda de Ape versus Court of Appeals? So here, the court went over the records. Yeah, Supreme Court na niya, di ba? They are not trier of facts. But the Supreme Court went over the records of the case and they found that there is no proof, no indication that Fortunato was given any written notice of the prospective or the consummated sale of the portions belonging to the other co-owners. So therefore, sakto si Fortunato, wala ni run ang period to redeem. However, the case was still decided against Fortunato because the court found that there was already actual partition of the property among the co-owners. So ang property itself has already lost its characteristic as being an undivided co-owned property. Kaya naa sila factual, okay, or de facto partition. So when that happens, if there is already a partition of the property, even though was sila ni go through the formalities of extrajudicial partition, then there is no longer any co-ownership. The co-ownership is already terminated, and therefore the right of redemption, the legal right of redemption, has also disappeared. So, wa na'y right to redeem. Okay, in Spouses Pascual versus Spouses Ballesteros, there is a 1,539 square meter property co-owned by several persons. So, one of the co-owners, Margarita, sold her share to the spouses Pascual and Francisco. Subsequently, okay, the buyer, the spouses Pascual and Francisco, registered the sale and a title was issued in their names. So, ang title, wa pa man siya gibuak-buak, the title was also registered in the names of the other co-owners, Angela and the spouses Melchor. So, due to the sale and the titling. The spouses Ballesteros claiming that they did not receive any written notice of the sale in favor of the spouses Pascual and Francisco, filed a complaint for legal redemption against the spouses Pascual. So what the defense of the spouses Pascual was that there was no longer any co-ownership over the subject property because the shares of the previous co-owners had already been particularized. In fact, naana sila yung mga assigned na mga areas. So the issue that had to be resolved by the Supreme Court was whether or not the spouses Ballesteros still have the right of redemption. So the court here ruled that yes, there was still a right to redeem the property. So the 30-day period given to respondents, the spouses Ballesteros, has not even commenced because of the lack of written notice. So actual knowledge, okay, by the other co-owner of the sale to a third party, okay, will not excuse the requirement of giving a written notice because this written notice is mandatory and it is indispensable for purposes of commencement of the 30-day period to exercise the right of redemption. Okay, so distinguish between redemption and preemption, guys. So in redemption, there is already a perfected sale to a third person. In preemption, wala pa. No perfected sale yet. So the right of redemption is broader in scope compared to the right of preemption. So this right of preemption, it only exists in fact when there is a prospective resale of a small piece of urban land. Wata kakita og laing instance nga naay right of preemption. The right of redemption is directed against the third person who bought the property, the stranger. But the right of preemption is directed against the prospective vendor, the one who will sell the piece of urban land. The effect of redemption will be to extinguish a contract that has already been perfected. But the right of preemption is to prevent, okay, the birth or perfection of a contract. But actually, since mo preempt man ka sa sale because you are buying the piece of urban land yourself, it will lead to the execution of a contract of sale ultimately. So the period to redeem in legal redemption, it must be exercised within 30 days from the notice in writing by the prospective vendor, pursuant to Article 1623. So how does the redemption period begin to run? So mo run ra siya, guys, if there is notice given to the given by the seller to the other co-owners or co-heirs. And that notice, uh if not given by the seller, okay, given by someone else, given by the buyer, and even if it is given by the registry of deeds, it will not be sufficient. Dili mo run ang period to redeem. So what is the form of that written notice? So no particular form will be required when the written notice is given by the seller. So as long as it is reduced in writing, pwede ang isuwat ra nimo, hoy, ako nang ibaligya nga ako ang share sa ato ang lot. Signed date. Then that's it. That suffices already under Article 1623. What if you end up filing a suit for ejectment or collection of rentals against a co-owner? So will there still be a need for the written notice kung nagkinihaay na og ejectment? So the rule is that the filing of a suit for ejectment or collection of rentals against a co-owner actually dispenses with the need for a written notice. and must be construed as commencing the running of the period to exercise the right of redemption, since the filing of the suit amounted to actual knowledge of the sale from which the 30-day period of redemption commences to run. So, gikan ni siya sa katong usa sa mga cases decided by the Supreme Court na nagpaling-paling si Supreme Court, guys. Okay, so that concludes the lecture on extinguishment of the contract of sale. So I'll see you in the next video.